What's up everybody, it's Dave here from Oberk Car Care, and today we're going to be working on my own car. I've got a brand new to me Volkswagen CC, and it's got a ton of swirls, defects, and all sorts of stuff that we can look at, fix, and evaluate together. So today I'm going to go through start to finish on this correction process to take this damaged paint, bring it back to life, and make it look as good or better than new. And I'm going to show you each step and why we do each step as we go through it. Alright, so we've got the entire vehicle washed. Just to take an inspection of the paint, see what we're working with, and kind of evaluate what we need to do. We can pretty much guarantee most cars, used cars for sure, that are coming in for a paint correction process typically have contaminants or things stuck on the paint that don't come off in the wash. So normally we want to clay bar and remove all of those contaminants and particles prior to our polishing process. Today we want to look at the paint first just to show you what we're working with before and after we clay. Because we have some pretty damaged paint. You can see here there's swirls and scratches, obviously a ton of defects, and being a black car, it looks horrible when it dries past in the sun. So it's going to be a great car to work on to show you what we do. But first, let's make sure we clay all the panels, remove the contaminants, and get it ready to tape off and do our test spot. And that test spot will determine what our process is for correcting the paint. The first step when we're getting ready to paint correct our vehicle after it's washed is to decontaminate the paint. There's two ways that we can do that. One being a mechanical way by a clay bar or a synthetic clay mitt or clay disc. The other being a chemical decontamination where it actually has a chemical that's sprayed onto the surface that deteriorates the iron particles that might be stuck to the painted surface. Today we are going to focus on mechanical decontamination, where we are going to abrade the surface to remove the contaminants. I like to use a traditional clay. That's my personal favorite because I believe it works the best at removing or fully removing the contaminants on the surface, and I also believe that it doesn't scratch the surface as much as a synthetic clay bar, clay mitt, or clay disc. Both of these have their advantages. A clay disc or a clay mitt is extremely efficient and works very, very well under high volume circumstances. So today we're going to remove the contaminants that are stuck onto the Volkswagen CC with our clay bar. We're going to spray the vehicle down with a quick detailer or a lubricant, clay lubricant, to make sure that it can glide over the surface and not scratch more than it should. And we are going to remove the contaminants. One of the things to think about when we're doing this is that the clay doesn't actually just pick up those bonded contaminants on the surface. It actually has abrasive in it.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. I'm in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus.
Once we got it all clayed, we're going to go ahead and dry the surface. Get it all ready to tape off and start our test panel. All right, so we're going to go through the process on how we do a test spot, which will determine what pads and polishes that we use as we go around and correct the paint on this Volkswagen CC. We have a 3-pad, 2-polish system. If you're familiar with our system already, we have a 2-step process, which is cutting with our microfiber cutting pad paired with Oberk Cut, and then polishing with our red polishing pad and Oberk Polish. We also have a yellow pad, and our yellow pad is our 1-step polishing pad. This is great for 1-step polishing, whether it's a dark or light vehicle. You just pair it with Oberk Cut or Oberk Polish to get the desired cut and finish that you need for that easy type of service. We do have a lot of professional detailers that love this yellow pad, and we find that the yellow pad and red pad are interchangeable depending on the paint and the climate when professional detailers are trying to get the best or perfect finish out of a dark, black, or even soft paint finish. Some people use pea-sized dots, others use lines, and sometimes go around in a circle. We recommend when priming a foam pad to use lines. This has previously been recommended by Rupes, and we also agree that it primes the pad perfectly. The goal with the lines is to make sure that we have an ample amount of polish to completely coat the surface of the pad, but we're not inducing too much polish into the pad from the start. Pads need to be cleaned regularly, so contaminating that pad with too much polish from the beginning is not a good thing. Priming microfiber pads is a little bit different than foam pads. So what we're gonna do is actually go in a circle and apply polish to a majority of the pad face. And then we're gonna go ahead and massage that into the pad to make sure that all the fibers in the microfiber are coated with abrasive and lubricant so they both cut as much as possible, but also don't leave any dry spots that might leave marring or results that we might not like. Once we've massaged the polish into the pad, now we're going to apply a couple fresh dots to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our red pad and polish. This is our least aggressive combination in the Oberk lineup. We already know that this is probably not going to remove enough defects for us today, but because we are going through the full test spot process, we want to actually use it and show you the whole thought process behind a test spot and what it will actually do. So now we'll wipe off the polish. So that's a huge difference, but obviously there are still heavy scratches and swirls still left in the finish. My guess is we're gonna get a little bit better with the yellow pad, but let's check it out. Next, we're gonna try the exact same process using the yellow pad. So we're gonna prime it the same way, and we're gonna do another section pass. That looks even better. Still some light scratches in there. Pretty much removed most of the light swirling, but anything that was left a little bit deeper in there still kind of remains. All right, so both of the one-step polishing processes that we had didn't really work. Technically, the next step for our test spot would be to use our compound with the yellow pad for a one-step process. Because this vehicle's black, I know that there will be probably a little bit of marring or hazing behind. So what we're gonna do back here is we're gonna show you what effect or what the results are when we do our two-step process where we cut using our microfiber cutting pad paired with Oberk Cut, and then we follow up with our Oberk Polish and the red polishing pad to give it a perfect finish. So that worked absolutely perfect. It removed almost all of the defect, or as much as we possibly can. It left behind a light haze or micro marring that happens from heavy abrasives, but that'll just give us a chance to follow up with our red pad and make it perfect. So as you can see, the second step polishing gave it that amplified clarity and perfect crisp look. And you can still see a spot where we left that retains the haze from that first step polishing. So you can kind of see it transform from before polishing all the way into first step compounded and then finish polished. All right, so we did our test spot, we got our game plan, we're gonna do a two-step process, and we've got everything taped off. Because we are going to be using this car to do a nice 50-50 shot, I'm gonna start off with the door and the quarter panel where I did my test spots, and we're going to fully correct everything above and below the trim, and we're gonna get this looking right so that we can go outside and take a couple pictures. So to kick off these two panels, I started with our KO1 punch pads. I punched out 2-inch pads and used them on my Rupes Hybrid Nano. I corrected all the tight areas where a larger pad wouldn't reach very easily. I want to be able to correct these areas as best as possible without the risk of damaging edges, and obviously a large 5-inch or even a 3-inch pad in some of these areas would be just a little bit too large. So as soon as we finished correcting all the small areas, we started getting into correcting the larger panels with a 15mm polisher and a 5-inch microfiber cutting pad. As soon as we wrapped up the cutting process, we jumped right into polishing with our red foam polishing pad paired with Oberk Polish. We wanted to make sure we got these two panels wrapped up as soon as we could so we could get the car outside and grab a nice few clips of 50-50 shots and just see how nice it looked. As you can see before, the car was heavily swirled. I got a lot of work to do to wrap up the rest of this car. But we made a huge improvement with this two-step process on an 8-year-old car with almost 80,000 miles. This car is gonna look absolutely fantastic when it's all wrapped up and finished. If you like this video or you wanna see more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe to this video and to our channel. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Oberk Car Care, and to find out more about our products in this video, check out oberkcarcare.com.